TFA fam, welcome in to the Week 15 Start Sit Show, edition number 1. Hey, everything is fine. There's nothing wrong. It's the fantasy playoffs. Everything is great. Everyone's healthy. It's fucking chaos. This is absolute. You thought the bipocalypse was bad? I've got something for you, my friend. This is just absolutely insane this week. There's still a lot that we're still waiting on. We still don't know if some of these COVID guys are going to be able to clear. Odell Beckham tweeted out and just said negative. So I guess that's one. We still need another one from him. So we still don't know a lot of this. Right off the top, in case you guys thought you missed the DFS show, you did not. Because of all the craziness, they are actually going live tomorrow night on Saturday. So if you're doing any DFS lineups, rock with them live tomorrow at 10:30 Eastern. They will be going live. And then please make sure you join us on Sunday as well. We'll be going live again at 11 a.m., getting you ready for everything we possibly can. Hopefully nothing else crazy happens between now and then. But if this week was any indication, man, it's not going to be calm until then. I do just want to quickly throw up this list that we have as of right now. So the guys that we know that are out for sure, like I said, I'm not going to put any of the COVID guys on here because we simply don't know at this point. But Swift, Eli Mitchell, Hunt is now definitely out. Looked like he wasn't going to play with the ankle injury anyway. Now he was added to the COVID list. Tyler Higbee was on it, came off, went back on, so he is out. Manny Sanders is out. Damian Harris as well. Danny Dimes will not be playing again. Marquise Brown was 2 DNPs and then a limited practice on Friday with an illness. It looks like he is truly questionable. I'm not expecting Lamar Jackson to be able to go. He did not practice at all this week. Not that he would need to, but it doesn't look good for him. Adam Thielen, a game-time decision on Monday. Tony Pollard, questionable. Looks like he's going to play, but he's playing through that torn plantar fasciitis. So even if he does play, expect him to be limited. Brevin Jordan had to throw in here just because of how bad the tight end landscape has been. He's actually been scoring some tutties for us. Kev has been talking about him for a couple of weeks now. Looks like he has a hand injury. He's questionable. Rex Burkhead. He was originally ruled out, but he got in some limited practices at the end of the week, so he's potentially questionable as well. For the good news, looks like Jalen Hurts, DK Metcalf, Mark Ingram, Zach Ertz, and Jordan Howard will be returning. Kev, let's dive into it.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this before the show, and like we were talking about this because the hard part is like, so if you have players that are on COVID and they'll say they play on the Monday or the Tuesday games that got moved, it's tough because you just like you're gonna have to make that decision, and if you don't have another option, like Tyler Lockett, for example, now gets a few more days. Pete Carroll talked about it today and said that he showed symptoms and he was feeling really bad on Thursday, but today he said they were starting to feel better. I don't know. I mean, so if he's showing symptoms, it sounds like to me like it's probably pretty unlikely that he's going to be able to even make it back by Tuesday. But now they've implemented new COVID rules, so now you just need 2 tests in a 24-hour period. It's not you have to wait 24 hours. You just have to have 2 COVID periods in a day. So that's different from what it was originally. But like to me, like unless you have a backup option for one of these guys, let's say you have Tyler Lockett, and maybe by Sunday we hear like it's possible he could return, but he hasn't been activated yet. Like you're going to have a true option because this is the fantasy plus. This isn't next week. It's not, oh, well, if I lose this week, whatever I got next week, you lose, you're out. And so like the only option you could come up with there would be like D Eskridge, right? Like that would be the guy that maybe you would look at as possibly a fill-in. But like, I don't know. I think you maybe just be better off just like sitting that guy, and not worrying about it because if he doesn't play, then is D Eskridge really a great option? I don't know.
I don't know. Better than Freddie Swain.
And of course. And of course, it's like, it's the fantasy playoff season that this happens. It's not week 12 where, it could still hurt. Yeah, you want to win. But like this, this would just be an absolute shame just to, Jalen Waddle is also another one that's on COVID. He's been a baller this year. And,
Yep.
Their game obviously didn't get moved, so it's sounding a little bit more unlikely that he's able to make it back. We'll have to wait and see on that. Miles Gaskin did get activated off COVID, so he'll be back. It's so many different. Like it's just been all week. Like seems like every 30 minutes we're getting a new notification. We're getting a new he's been placed on COVID. He's been placed on COVID. So I don't know. It's a shame, but hey, all we can do is what we go is what we can do with what we got, right? And so we're all dealing with the same thing. So let's just take advantage of it and let's win some chips. Let's keep it moving and let's move on to the next week.
That's it. And like I said, make sure you're joining us on Sunday because I'm sure we're going to get some other news between now and then, whether it's on the positive side or the negative side of things. I will be sure to drop the Discord link in here as well. Make sure you join that. You can ask your questions there when any new news pops up. We have people, throwing in Schefter tweets throughout the day to try and keep everybody up to date as well. Walito, my man, appreciate you coming through with the $10 Super Hala. There will not be a prop show tomorrow. Tom hit me up. He is under the weather. He is sick. I'm going to put out a solo show for the prop show, and then Tom will be throwing his picks into said Discord. So no prop show. DFS still going on at 10:30. Abraham rocking with us. First question of the night. Let's jump into it. Jamar or Aaron Jones at the flex? Aaron Jones is going to be good to play, even though he was listed with the illness and the knee injury. But he's going to be good to go.
I'm going Jamar Chase on that one.
Yep, I'm going Jamar Chase as well. But Aaron Jones wasn't on the injury report last week, was he? Coming off the bye, I don't think.
No, but he's it does sound like he is going to be good to go to play. He doesn't carry an injury designation heading in, so I mean he's practicing full. So I mean he's good to go there. He'll be a full go on Sunday. It's just how much does he get in? Especially one thing that would worry me is much like in some of the other games they've had. I think the one before this Bear game where it was they pretty much handled this game entirely. And what would worry me is because especially if Lamar Jackson isn't able to play, then do the Packers just run the rock with AJ Dillon and keep it very vanilla and not really get Aaron Jones involved, as much as normal. So that's the only tough part with him. So like I feel like if you have a decent option, as much as I love Aaron Jones, like you have to at least consider it because it would be a shame that Aaron Jones only gets 8 carries, or 8 touches in the game and doesn't find the end zone twice like he did last week.
Yeah, that's the thing too, is you're not dealing with a Myles Gaskin, kind of guy who you're like, well, do I play Gaskin or Aaron Jones? I think Jamar is one of those guys you can feel absolutely confident in plugging in, and that is the downside with Aaron Jones too, though, is he could have 60 total yards and still give 3 touchdowns. But I think Jamar is a very, very fine option to plug in and not worry about that. Justin S. Hey guys, thanks for all the help thus far. Appreciate you for rocking with us, Justin. Must win game. Join the club. Half PPR. Please rank these 1 to 4. Edmonds, Stevenson, Monty, DK.
I rank this David Montgomery.
Yes.
Ramondre Stevenson.
Yes.
DK, then Edmonds.
Yep, that's how I have it as well. Stevenson, obviously a much more exciting option given that Damian Harris is out.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, we've seen Ramondre Stevenson without Damian Harris, and he exploded, right? This isn't a great matchup, I will say that, against the Colts. The Colts' run defense is pretty good, and they are on the road. But regardless, he's still probably going to be utilized in the passing game as well, and he's going to get all the carries. And so it's hard to not love Ramondre Stevenson now. I actually, with the news, I moved Ramondre. So I guess we haven't really talked about it with our rankings that we did. I actually have made some adjustments. One, I have James Robinson. I moved up to 12, from 23 to 12, all off of Urban Meyer being gone, because I don't think.
Dude, real quick, did you see that the odds went up in their favor with the news of Urban being fired? The line changed in a positive way.
It doesn't surprise me Because the other thing we see so often when a head coach gets fired, you just, especially with such a negative vibe, like toxic culture that Urban Meyer was, that it doesn't surprise me. Like you're going to see this team probably rally around everything, and you would not be surprised if they win this game. And Daryl Bevel is actually a pretty decent coach. We've seen him with the Lions,
Yep.
and he's a pass first type of coach. He looks to really push the ball down the field with deep ball. And really hoping that LaVisca now, I think he becomes actually interesting with Urban Meyer gone. Like I just think a lot of things are going to change this offense. So I actually moved James Robinson up. I have him at 12 against Houston. This is just a smash matchup. Carlos Hyde is out as well, so he really has nobody else to compete with for touches, and I think he's going to get fed the rock. And then Ramondre Stevenson, I moved him up to 16. So
Yeah, Bevel had the quote of James Robinson is our starting running back, and he's going to be played and treated as such. So look for all the J Rob and sneak peek for the props. I think I'm going to take Trevor Lawrence over 211 and a half passing yards. That seems a little low. I think he's actually only hit that 7 times this year. But because of everything you were saying, Kev, with Bevel coming in, wanting to open it up a little bit more, going up against that Houston secondary, I like Lawrence. I still don't know I would start him, you know what I mean, unless I was in desperation mode at quarterback for your fantasy lineups. But for props, over 211 and a half. Speaking of people who open things up, TN, the GOAT, the OG, opening up that wallet once again, throwing the $20 at us. We appreciate you, man. We need to get him a like a license plate that just says like GOAT 101 around there. We need to get something for TN for everything that he has done for the TFA fam.
yeah, you know we should we need to have a free for all. We keep talking about it. We need to have a free for all so we can get people actually on the show.
Well, if there would stop being this craziness, we might be able to do it.
Because now we're running out of time. Because now the next 2 Fridays is Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, and I'm assuming we're not going to go live on Christmas Eve. I mean, I'd be totally for it. I don't know how the family would feel about it. I don't know how your wife would feel about it. But and then New Year's Eve, same thing. It's not as big for me. I'm in my 30s now, so I'm not going out partying all night. But still, I don't think we'd have that great of a turnout. So I guess the next shot would be the last week of the season, which would be the 7th, I guess, right? Which I don't think fantasy football will be over with by then.
Yeah, but hey, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Anyway, let's get to TN's question here. 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex. So we're looking at, let's start with the wide receivers: Diggs, Gage, Bateman, Landry, OBJ.
Okay. So Diggs for sure.
Yes.
I'm going to go Russell Gage. Tight end is Gronk. Man. I'm going to go OBJ. I think he plays at flex.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, take it for what you will. But earlier today, Odell did tweet out negative. So that looks like that's at least one. He still needs to get another one, but that would seem like that he is trending in the right direction. So I think you gotta plug Odell in here, given those options. I know that Bateman went off with Huntley at quarterback, but this is going to be a much tougher matchup. Jair Alexander is back, I believe, for this game, so that does not set up well. And then especially if Marquise Brown is out, they really don't have anybody else to really open up the offense and really take some of the attention downfield where Hollywood operates. So I think you got to get Odell in there over Bateman. He'd be the other guy that I'd be thinking about. TN, appreciate you. Aquaman coming in. Flex need one in this chaos. Chuba, Pittman, or Devonta.
So it's so funny. last week, whenever you were live doing the solo show, and Aqua actually asked this question, and I just remember it because he asked who we should start. Rashad Penny, I think it was in Jalen Guyton and somebody else, and I'm like, Penny, Penny, say Penny, Penny, say Penny, say Penny. It's Penny. The answer's Penny, and you're like, I don't know, I can't. Let's go Jalen Guyton. And I'm like, oh no, wait, no. We went, and at that point, I knew that Rashad Penny had already because I actually I would think I went back and watched it after it was already done. And I'm like, oh man, I wanted Rashad Penny, but it ended up actually working out because I think Jalen Guyton he scored a touchdown, 80
He
yards. So
scored.
it
Yeah.
wasn't like like he scored 3 and then Rashad Penny scored 26, but still, like I was sitting there watching that and I still remember it. I was laughing afterwards. So
I almost went 0 for 2 on that, but I think CHB also had another Penny question, and I did say Penny on that one. So
all right.
I didn't go over. I didn't go over. Who do you like for in the flex here for Aqua? Chuba, Pittman, or Smitty?
I'm not playing Chuba. I don't think you can play Chuba. He's not being involved in the passing game. That's Samir Abdullah,
Yeah.
which is what we thought would happen. And then so Pittman doesn't have a great matchup either. He's going to see some J.C. Jackson. It's not going to be all J.C. Jackson, but he is going to see some of him. Devonta Smith, right, with playing on that game, like I don't know. I don't know who all is going to be back for that Washington football team. That defense, which is missing just an astronomical amount of pieces. So I don't know how much they have to throw. I think I still go Pittman here. I know Pittman has not been the same guy as we've seen earlier in the year, but they've also been in a lot of really positive game scripts for them not to really have to do a whole lot, and they've been able to kind of just milk the clock and not have to throw the ball as much outside of I guess the Bucks game. But so I mean, he's still in the last game we saw against Houston. He still scored 17 in that game, 6 for 77. But he hasn't scored a touchdown since Week 9 against the Jets. So it is a little bit tougher. But the volume he sees is just what makes it so much more easier for me. So I would go Michael Pittman in a tougher matchup.
I'm gonna go Smitty because of the matchup. Because I also think that the Pats are going to be able to get pressure on Wentz. Like I don't mind Pittman, but I think with Smith, I would rather take the shot that he gets. He could go 4 for 100. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what Pittman's ceiling is in this game. I think Pittman's probably the safer choice, but has the lower ceiling. So between these two, I'm going to go Smitty here, especially with it looking like that Jalen Hurts is going to be a full go. Noel, Zeke or Van Jeff? This is where we're at with Zeke. And in case you guys didn't see the blurb, or I guess the beat writer, one of the beat writers for the Cowboys said that Zeke has looked the best he has physically for weeks. So I'm definitely sure that old Uncle Jerry didn't, slide him a 20 and say, "Put this in your pocket, little one. Tweet this out."
I'm gonna
go Zeke. Yeah,
I think you have to. Like I hate it. I don't really love it, but it is a great matchup against the Giants defense. The Giants have been terrible against the run this year. It is a good matchup. I'm gonna go Zeke.
Yeah. I mean, if Van Jefferson doesn't catch that almost 60-yard touchdown last week, he's basically putting you up and over. It especially looks like Odell should be back.
That's the big one. If Odell was out, I would very, very well be leaning towards Jefferson in this one. If Odell was out, but it's sounding like it's not going to be the case. It sounds like Odell's going to be back, which still makes Van Jefferson for me a very viable like wide receiver 3, but he's not in that like slam wide receiver 2 spot that he would have been in.
Right. LeBron's. I whipped up that list right before we jumped on, so I did throw out because it seemed like James Conner wasn't really going to be in doubt here. Seems like Conner and Edmonds are going to be back, so I was just more.
He might be asking because we were talking about rankings. I was talking about where I had my rankings. Maybe he was asking that.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. Because,
Either
I mean,
way,
James Conner's expected to play, so.
yeah. LeBron does have. Go
We
ahead.
have James Conner at 3. Or I have him at 3, should say.
I have not updated anything yet. One, because I hate rankings, and two, because it's been just an absolute like. It seems like every time you're thinking about it, like, okay, I would have him here. Some other crazy nonsense comes through. But LeBron's brain does have a question here. We need 2 between Gibson, Edmonds, and Stevenson.
Gibson and Stevenson.
Same for me as well. I have no idea what to expect out of Edmonds in his first game back, and I really don't know, even if he was fully healthy, how many touches he sees with how good Connor's been. Ali started Mike Will, projected 135, opponent 130. Which 2 do I start? Mixon, Fournette, Chase, McLaurin, Gaskin. Full PPR. And it does seem like that Ron Rivera was optimistic that McLaurin should be available for this game. I think the quote was like very, very highly optimistic or very highly likely that he was feeling good that McLaurin comes back.
Still, it isn't. That doesn't. So, which 2? I think you would go Mixon and Fournette. If you want to sit for, like, it is not a great matchup against the Saints run defense, right? We still know, I mean, the Saints run defense is still, it continues to be absolutely elite. The problem is that Leonard Fournette is also highly active in the passing game as well. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, he has seen just a ridiculous amount of targets. I mean, really, you go back to week 10, 9, 6, 8, 8, 7 targets. Like, so even if he may not get there fully through the ground, he could still get there through the air. And, with the touchdown upside that he brings because of this offense, it's really hard to sit Leonard Fournette. Like, Leonard Fournette has pretty much turned into a kind of a locked-in top 12 running back.
Yeah. Hopefully, if you guys
Who are you
watch,
starting at wide receiver, by the way? Just with, I see Jamar Chase on here, so I'm curious what the other wide receivers are. I know he
one was
started
Mike
Mike
Will.
Williams.
Yeah.
Wish we would have went Jamar Chase there, but I get it. Mike Williams almost had. He had a couple. I mean, he had the one shot right there at the goal line, should have been a touchdown. And then he caught a deep ball, and if he would have broke tackle, he was right there at the goal line. So, yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. Well, I mean, not for me as a Chiefs fan. It was awesome. But for people that played Mike Williams, which I played a ton of Mike Williams in Showdown, so I felt the pain.
Yeah, that was I passed out like 9 something last night, but I had the foresight to record it. So that was that was a fun one to watch by myself at 7 this morning to catch up on all that. So I was seeing people like the Discord was talking about, Travis Kelce going off. And I'm watching through like the first 3 quarters. I'm like, when is this going to happen? Then all of a sudden the fourth quarter was just like everybody was hitting in the fourth quarter. That was a really fun game. Anyway, Younger in here, Freeman, Sanders in full PPR. I answered this one in the Discord. Kev, chime in. Who do you like here between these 2?
I'm going to go Miles Sanders.
That was my answer as well. Alexis, always rocking with us. I think Alexis is the 2021 MVP. I would like to give Alexis that award for rocking with us from start to finish here with TFA. Like, no one will ever take it from TN. He's the GOAT. He's the OG. While Lito is like grandfathered in. I think for 2021, I would like to bestow that onto Alexis. Starting Barkley and Najee at running back, Adams and Lamb at wide receiver. For flex, do I go Chase, Foreman, or possibly wait for Henderson if he comes off the COVID list?
No, don't even worry about it. You just go straight to Jamar Chase.
Yeah. Because I think we are at the point now where I don't know if we see – whenever both of these running backs are healthy, I don't think that we see one of them take the lion's share, especially for Henderson, when at the beginning of the year, McVay talked about needing to complement him to keep him healthy. And then he had the injury, like obviously the COVID is nothing against his injury concerns, but I think with as well as Sony has played, we see Sony or Henderson, whoever it ends up being, a little bit more of a timeshare there instead of Henderson taking 90% of the touches like we saw at the beginning of the year. Here is the Discord link for anyone who wants it. Walito dropped it in, so scroll up and you can click on that. Absolutely free, no strings attached. Higgins, Parker, Penny, Stevenson, Sanders, the flex, full PPR. Parker's intriguing. Stevenson's intriguing.
You got to go
PPR.
You got to go Ramondre Stevenson. There's a lot of really good options here. I mean, Higgins is in a great spot. Devontae Parker's in a great spot, especially without Jalen Waddle against the Jets. I still think Rashad Penny. Now he's not in the matchup isn't there, but it's not a great matchup against the Rams, and if it could get game scripted out depending on how this game unfolds. But I would still prefer. I mean, Ramondre Stevenson is the guy, just like Rashad Penny, but probably in a better game script and in an offense that, So I just don't think you can pass up on Ramondre Stevenson. I think he's in a great spot now.
And we've seen Stevenson used as a pass catcher as well. And Brandon Bolden is questionable. He got unlimited practices all week, but he's officially questionable going to that game. So if Bolden is limited, doesn't play, that would just be another big bump for Stevenson. Is Gesicki a good start? Waller out. Yeah, that's another one that I didn't have on the list. Waller is out. PPR. I do like Gesicki, Ollie, especially with if Waddle is out, that's going to open up more targets. It's big, unless this is an Albert Wilson week. Is this an Albert Wilson week? I don't know. Maybe crazier things have happened. This week is full chaos. No Jakeem Grant there anymore, so someone has to play that Waddle role.
Yeah, I mean, even without that, I mean, before their bye, I mean, he was targeted 11 times in that game. So, Mike Gesicki, I still think is a strong play, whether Waddle plays or not. But I don't think Waddle. It doesn't sound like to me, well,
it was midweek that he got put on the list too.
Yeah, I mean, so it really to me it comes down to but we've seen other guys like Nick Chubb, for example, right, who had been vaccinated and still missed an entire week because of it because he got symptoms. That's really what it comes down to. Like if these guys are showing symptoms, I would pretty much rule them out. They're not going to play. Now if they're asymptomatic, then I think they would have a better shot. But I am not a doctor, so I don't like talking about this stuff very much when it comes to that. But I would just be willing to bet. It sounds like with it already being Friday night and Jalen Waddle hasn't been, and I haven't really heard anything like positive coming out about him. So I would assume that it's probably looking less likely that he would be able to make it back. So either way, though, Mike Gesicki is still a great option.
Chosen Rose, we need 2. Michelle, CPAT, Jeff Wilson, Zeke. Was the Rams game one that was moved or no? Yeah, yes. That was one that was moved.
Yeah, it's Tuesday game. I'm going to go Cordell Patterson and Zeke.
Yeah, same for me. And something to note for CPAT is 2 of the starting linebackers for San Fran are going to be out. I'm going to butcher his name. Al-Shahir, I think, is one of them. And then Greenlaw is also out. And they're already missing some of those pieces on the defensive line. So that could help CPAT. Although, Mike Davis was the one getting the targets last week because why the hell not, right? Justin, Monty, Zeke, Freeman as my RB2 in full PPR. Feeling Monty, but Justin wants to ask.
I would feel Monty too. I would go. This is one where you can go David Montgomery over Zeke.
Man. Yeah, Monty over Zeke for me as
I mean, it's an
well.
excellent matchup against the Vikings. The Vikings, are terrible against the run, and we've all of a sudden in the last 2 weeks really started to see David Montgomery all of a sudden like, hey, we're going to start using him in the passing game again. And Allen Robinson's also on COVID list, so it doesn't sound like he's going
Oh,
to play.
God.
And so like that was one that like flew under the radar that I didn't notice, but I guess because it's Allen Robinson, hasn't done anything this year. That wasn't really as big of a news, but
That's so sad.
yeah, I saw that he's on. So he's also on COVID. But over the last 2 weeks, I mean, we've seen David Montgomery get 8 and 6 targets as well. So even if they do fall behind a little bit, he is still going to get opportunities as a pass catcher. So I'm going to go David Montgomery in a smash matchup.
Yeah, I like Monty there as well. Start of week 14. Whew. Man. Thomas, did you run into like Eckler Kelsey? Like what happened? Why are you already counting yourself out? Let us know who you went up against. Let us know what your lineup looks like. Kev, two guys. Well, one that you talked about this week, and another guy that you've talked about a couple of weeks. Russell Gage or AJ Green.
I'm going to go Russell Gage.
Russell Gage, are you?
I just think AJ Green is so tough to trust on a week to week basis, depending on like who it is. Like obviously DeAndre Hopkins being out is a boost, but we've seen DeAndre Hopkins out for multiple weeks this year, and they still. I mean, whether it's Christian Kirk, they want to get more involved, or it could just go so many different ways. And they are playing the Lions, which do they really need to have to throw the ball that much? I don't think so. And so, like, I don't know. I just don't think the target volume will be there where like it will be for Russell Gage. And Russell Gage, really has been seeing a ton of targets over the last 2 or 3 weeks. So
That line opened up at -6.5 for Arizona, and then that has moved all the way to being favored by 12.5.
yeah, that's disrespectful to the Cardinals that it was only 6.
Yeah, I know that's a wild line. Walito, it does have to be Friday because then we wouldn't have the alliteration. We wouldn't have the free for all Friday. So it does have to be Friday because we can't call free for all Thursday. That doesn't make sense.
Though I
It
guess
has
if
to
we
be a
really,
Friday.
I guess if we really wanted to, we could do Wednesday of this week because I'm off on Thursday. I don't know.
Look
I
at
don't know.
what you want Wednesday.
Yeah, yeah.
Auto G baby, Folk, or the other Greg the Leg.
I mean, you have to go with elite Nick Folk, right? I mean, he's just been elite all year
Good enough for me.
in the dome too. I might add.
Shelton, Parker, or Stevenson.
You got to go Ramondre. I mean, it's the same thing I talked about with him. Like, I like Devontae Parker a lot this week, but you just can't. I mean, you have to play Ramondre without Damian Harris.
Okay, so now back to Ali's question. I just saw this. He needs 3 out of here.
Oh, okay, then you just plug in Chase.
Yeah. It might be true. It might be true.
Yeah, it's been so weird with him this year. The explosion earlier in the year, and then kind of fell off, and then he's stabilized a little bit. The offense is just. I mean, Justin Herbert really. I mean, he threw for like 220 yards or something like
Right.
that. Like it was very
Well, they
low.
rushed for almost 200.
Yeah, but then they went for it 17 times on 4th down, and the anti-analytics guys were just loving it. Talking about how bad analytics are, but they act like every
The worst part is is let's say they convert 2 of those. Then they're talking about like, oh man, the guts on this guy. Oh man, they would love it. You wouldn't hear them talking about like, oh, shouldn't have done that.
Well, they act
That's what I
like that
hate.
every call is based on that's the only reason they did it was because of analytics. Like I'm sure there's other things that factor into it as well. But then I
Like
mean,
starting Patty Mahomes at the 3 instead of the 20. Maybe
yeah,
factor that in. You know what I mean? Like, all right, if we don't get it here, instead of giving him a free 17, 15 yards, whatever it is. And Walito, I wasn't talking about you being old. Look up the phrase grandfathered in. Maybe it's just a US thing. I wasn't calling you a grandfather. It's a phrase.
it's because I think what is he, Gen Z or whatever it is,
Yeah, he doesn't know. He's still in school. Learn you something here on Friday night for free. Xenon, our favorite Potheed. We need 3 out of this group: Mixon, CPAT, Aaron Jones, Connor, J-Rob.
Oh man,
What a group.
Yeah. So we're James Conner, Mixon. Man.
J-Rob for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go James Robinson too. That's close though. Yeah, I'm gonna go James Robinson.
Yeah. Huh. Thought we lost you there. C. Crip, QB, Flex, D. Jalen Hurts, Taysom Hill. So who do we like for QB there?
Jalen Hurts.
I'm going Hurts as well. Teron Armstead is out for the Saints at their left tackle, so that's a pretty big loss to that offensive line. Still a good offensive line, but losing somebody like Armstead is never a good thing. In the flex, Green, Penny, Pittman, Edmonds.
Rashad Penny.
Oh my God. Guess you have to follow the touches, right? We want volume. We want touches.
Yeah, to me, it's between Penny and Pittman, right? I think are the 2 options. I just don't. I mean, Chase Edmonds. I really don't know what you're gonna get from him. I don't know what to expect from him coming back in this game. So I don't think he's not gonna come back in and get the job back that he had. I know that for sure. Where he was kind of the lead back, and James Conner was operating as the RB2 in the offense. I think it's going to be the other way around, and you're going to see Chase Edmonds more in the pass catching role, kind of like what you saw last year, a little bit more like Kenyon Drake was early down, goal line back, and where Chase Edmonds was being the PPR guy. And within a matchup against the Lions, where they're just really not going to throw the ball all that much, I just don't think you can play. I'm not all that excited about playing Chase Edmonds unless you just don't have any other options. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go Rashad Penny. I'm riding the horse, riding the league winner that is Rashad Penny. Things that I didn't think I would ever come out of my mouth this year.
So you went too far.
I've been saying Rashad Penny can be a league winner for 2 weeks in a row, and I said it before he went off for 26 points. I said it was before it was cool. Okay, now all of a sudden on Twitter all week, people talk about that he could be a league winner this year, and I'm like, get out of here. Okay, don't try to jump on the bandwagon now. And it was funny because everybody was like, I've seen people too, like, man, anybody who would played, I don't know what people were thinking playing Rashad Penny, even though he went off in the game against Houston, whatever. Like, there was no reason to play him. And I'm like, you're wrong. There was all kinds of reason to play him. Great matchup against Houston. I mean, so anyways, we're riding the train.
Yeah. But before we get down pat my back lane here, from
victory
Kev.
lane. Hey, it's a victory lap. It's never too late to do victory laps. Okay. Anyway, which tight end should you stream? Everett, Henry, and Njoku, or RSJ? RSJ is he 100% playing in this game? The last I saw that he was questionable.
That one I do not. Is he out? See, this is the issue with this week is I was trying to go through as many notes as I could, and
I don't think he's out. I just I think I saw that he was questionable.
let me
I think
see.
he's gonna be okay though. I think he's
Let me pull up the old WFT injury report here. He is not showing up on the injury report.
okay. So he's good to go.
Weird.
Okay.
It was also weird because I didn't see. I looked. I was looking at James Conner yesterday, I think, or maybe it was earlier today, and Conner wasn't on their injury report either. Even though it was being reported that he was like 2 DNPs back to back days. So I'm not necessarily sure what that is about. Trying to. That was on the 15th from Finlay.
Anyways, I don't think it really matters. He barely played anyways. He only played 46% of the snaps the last time they played, while John Bates played 71% of the snaps. And I will say this with John Bates, like he has been involved in the offense. He's flashed a little bit. So it may not just be just a thing. I mean, it could actually be a full on thing with John Bates, right? Like he hasn't. Um, I mean, last week he played 70% of the snaps, ran 21 rounds, only targeted 2 times in that game. The week before that, he played 52% of the snaps, ran 13 rounds, 4 targets in that game. Week 11, he played 95%, 64% week 10. So, anyways, for me, I think it's David Njoku. I'm in a similar situation. I had TJ Hawkinson in the old home league, and I picked up David Njoku because Hooper is on COVID. He has a shot to clear, but still, I still think that with their lack of pass catching options as well, I just think David Njoku makes a lot of sense. The other option would be Hunter Henry. I think for me it would be between those two, and I would probably leave Hunter Henry just in this situation because of his upside to catch a touchdown.
Is Jonu out?
I don't think so.
Things we should know. No, it doesn't seem
Anyways,
like it.
yeah. Whether he plays or not, I still probably lean towards Henry. But
And then defense, Pats or Bucks.
I'm gonna go Bucks.
Bucks for me as well. That defense is getting healthy at the right time. Aquaman, Patty Fry or Moreau. Foster Moreau dealing with a core injury, but so that he quote should be good to go.
I don't really care at all if he's hurt or not. It's Patty Fry.
Yeah, Patty Fry for me as well. Penn State great. Patty Fry, that is. Another question here from Xenon. Renfro, Parker, Odell start dose.
I'm gonna go Renfro and Parker.
First two for me as well. That's where I was leaning. Alexis with this question about stashing. Dearness Johnson, Khalil Herbert, or both by dropping Foreman. I would not want to drop Foreman.
I'm offended. I've already answered this question, Alexis, in the chat. I guess you just go ahead. It doesn't matter what I say. You just go ahead there, Cody, and you answer it. I said I would drop Foreman and pick up and grab both of them because with the running backs that they have on the team, that there's no chance that I would ever start Foreman over the running backs on the roster, and so I would rather have the upside that is Dearness Johnson and Khalil Herbert. Because if something happens to David Montgomery, we already know Khalil Herbert's got to just take over this backfield and run right in the same spot that Montgomery is, and the Bears have just a sexy playoff schedule, and so I want Khalil Herbert as a stash anywhere I can. And then with Kareem Hunt, it's not even about the COVID for Kareem Hunt; it's about the ankle injury that he re-aggravated, and very well could be out this game and Week 16 because they do play on Saturday, so really quick turnaround there. And so Dearness Johnson is going to be involved anyway without Kareem Hunt. And then this offense. And we've heard some rumors this week that Derrick Henry could return before the NFL playoffs. I don't know exactly what that means. I don't know when that could be, but it's a possibility. And so I don't know. I'm not in love with Foreman. So I would just drop Foreman. And I also said that I would wait until Saturday to do so. That way the people in your league cannot pick up Foreman until after Week 15 anyway.
I would hold on to Foreman. He's at least startable. Dearness Johnson, you need Chubb and Hunt to go down to fill.
Sure, but we're only one spot away from that happening. So like I said, we're swinging for fence anyway right now. There's no point to be worrying about anything else right now. We're playing week to week anyway, and so we're shooting straight for the ceiling, the moon, if something happens to one of these guys. Or COVID, for that matter.
If memory serves correct, Alexis does have a pretty solid running back room.
Oh, for sure. That's my point, is that I would never start any of them over Foreman anyway. And so, or I would never start Foreman over them. And so it's just a wasted pick.
Okay. That makes sense. Tua or Cousins for Z Soto?
This is close because I love Tua this week too. But I'm going to go Kirk Cousins.
I was going to say, even without Waddle?
Oh, yeah, they're playing the Jets. They're playing the goddamn Jets. But no, it's I say that now all the time. Big Daddy. Anyway, it's Cousins.
Microsoft dropped 35 points this week. Also
on
my
own ass. Anyways.
Frankenstein.
No, we're not dropping. We're not dropping. I would not drop Justin Tucker.
Okay, yeah. Fuck it with Tuck It Deluxe. Keenan Allen, Travis Kelce in my league. That is a very nice start to your week, Deluxe. Hopefully you don't get 2020 Alvin Kamara. Because that week there was also like a Thursday game where someone went off as well, right? I can't remember who it was, but then
no, it was Stephon Diggs. It was on Monday night. Stephon Diggs scored it was 50 some points too.
Was that what it was? Because then
because that was Thursday, I believe that game was, or Friday. I can't remember what day it was. I think it was Thursday. Because it was the first game of the week. I know that. And when he went off, and then Stephon Diggs went off on Monday Night Football.
Henderson, Michelle, Barkley, Jeff, Will, DJ, Penny start too.
But I will say that is one of my favorite comments I've ever seen.
Yeah, great job, Deluxe. That was a genuine laugh.
For this one, I'm going to go Barkley and Rashad Penny. Well, I guess I should clarify that. If Henderson were to... No, I still not. Nope, I'm going Rashad Penny.
Give me Barkley and one of the Rams backs.
Well, okay, let me clarify this. If Henderson is out, I would probably go Sony Michel over Penny. But if Henderson is active and they're both active, I probably would lean then towards Rashad Penny.
The nice thing though is with both those games being
this is the same game, so you're going to be able to.
Oh yeah.
You're going to have that decision be able to made for you. Right. So you have all the options in the world. So
right, Barkley and then assuming Henderson is out, give me Michelle. I still might go Michelle over penne pasta. Our man Tam coming through. Half PPR, need 2 wide receivers and a flex. Let's start with those wideouts. Cooks, Metcalf, Beasley, DPJ, Gallup.
I'm going to go Cooks and Metcalf.
Flex. Well,
Don't have to worry about Darrell Williams. He's already played. Right. I'm going to go Donovan Peoples-Jones.
I'm going to go Gallup. Just because we have no idea what's going to happen with the quarterback room for Cleveland. With it being moved, Baker could very well make it back in time, but I wouldn't want to deal with that at all. Just give me Gallup. If I knew for sure that Baker would clear, I might lean DPJ here. If you watched or were in the Discord, I talked about DPJ as a prop last week over 36.5, and that hit going up against Baltimore, who's giving up the most catches of 20 plus yards. But anyway, Cooks, Metcalf, and Gallup for me.
Even the quarterback they have now that's going to be playing, I don't hate. It's what, Nick Mullins?
Yeah, but
Nick Mullins. I mean, Nick Mullins has played well in his time when he was in San Francisco. So they have a capable backup. It's not like they're running out, just some random, just terrible backup, right? And so, like the fact that they have Nick Mullins and Case Keenum, like, is credit to them. Those are 2 decent backups, and so Nick Mullins isn't the end all. Like it's they only have Nick Mullins left, right? And so, like, I think that he's still capable as a backup quarterback, and so. I mean,
really he's fine, but give me Dak.
Sure, but you're also dealing with somebody that's going to be the number 3-4 option in the offense versus somebody that is going to be the number 1 option with Jarvis Landry, on COVID. So,
yeah, but he's at least still had a consistent role in that offense too. Like he hasn't gone, he hasn't been like an 8 target, then a 2, and then a 4. Like he's been pretty steady with the amount of targets and catches that he's had over the past couple weeks. Chris G took another slap across the face. What was the first slap that you took? Now stumped on wide receiver with Metcalf. Should I start him over Claypool and Parker? So let's start there, and then we'll get to the running back question.
I think you.
Are you going to say it?
Yeah, I think you could. I mean, you're playing Metcalf. Sounds like he's good to go. And so,
I thought you were going to say Parker. I thought we were going to get a Devontae Parker over Metcalf out of you.
Well, who would you play him over? Who are you playing Metcalf over? Or are you not playing Metcalf and you're playing Claypool and Parker? It's the question. So that, should I start
the right underneath says that's Metcalf or Claypool or Parker. Which one?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going Metcalf.
Okay. And then, yes, same for me. At running back, MG3 or Sanders. Javonte Williams is going to be playing, so it's not going to be the MG3 show. I'm going Sanders.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tougher matchup against Cincinnati.
Spending time with Javonte. I mean, Jordan Howard is back, but
yes, I'm going to go with Miles.
Chris, appreciate the like and the sub. And if you have not liked it, and you are not subbed yet, be more like Chris. Give us that subby sub. It's the Christmas season. Chris G coming through, doing what everyone else should do. We appreciate all of you. Eagles D, Dolphins D. Two good options. Who do you like?
I'm going to go Dolphins.
Dolphins D for me as well. AO. Start three full PPR. Kirk, Chuba, Osborne, Julio, and Jamal Williams / Sony if they play. Have you seen anything on Jamal? I have not. I'll look that up while you.
I really don't want to play Chuba Hubbard unless I'm absolutely desperate to do so.
Yeah.
So for me, it is Christian Kirk. Lock him in. Julio. Kirk, Julio, and then.
So, real quick on Jamal Williams. As of 12 hours ago, Dan Campbell said it's highly unlikely the team will get back any players from the COVID list this week. So that would include Jamal Williams.
So we're looking at because I think that's why they talked about Jamar Jefferson there, who was not really involved at all last week in the offense. They're talking about trying to get him more involved this week.
Craig Reynolds season.
Yeah, name that nobody saw coming. Craig Reynolds. This year just keeps on giving. So, and we don't really have anybody here that we can kind of wait and see, because if Darrell Henderson, if we get word that Darrell Henderson will not be back for Tuesday by Sunday morning, you go Sony. If we don't have that definitive answer, we don't know. I think you have to go with one of the other options, unfortunately. And then for me, I guess. No, I'm going Sony either way.
Who's your second one? Kirk, who, and Sony?
Kirk, Julio, and Sony.
Okay. Go with that as well. Maulito, bring it. But we bring it, we ain't singing. We bringing drama. If you don't know what that is a reference to, look up Tupac, hit him up. That's all I got to say to you, Walito. A kicker here for Ali, Greg Z, Bass, or Second?
Going Greg. Greg the leg.
Good enough. For me, Taysom, Burrow, Russ. Closer than it should be. By the way, while we're on this question, did you see the tweet that someone put out? It's like two pictures of Russell Wilson like tearing up and crying, and the caption just said, "When Russ Wilson realizes he's going to have to throw to DK Metcalf this week."
No, I did not see that one.
Twitter undefeated. I can't go Russ.
Can you go Burrow though against the Broncos? Like, I don't love that either.
I don't love that either, but Russ against the
and then
the
Taysom,
Rams.
Taysom could end up making the most sense just because of his rushing upside. I mean, he hasn't necessarily been great the last 2 weeks, but he scored 24.7 and 26.3. I mean, he had 175 passing yards against the Jets, but still had 26.3 fantasy points. And then against Dallas, where he looked horrific with 4 interceptions, he still had 24.7 because he had 101 rushing yards. I know this is Tampa Bay, but at the same time, like, his ability to run the football makes him such an elite option. And so I would probably go Taysom in this situation.
Oh boy.
And to make matters worse, the Buccaneers have allowed the 6th most rushing yards to quarterbacks this year. And like the 4th most touchdowns, rushing touchdowns. So, yeah, lock it in. Lock it in. Taysom for me.
I'm going to go Burrow, but with less conviction. So if you like conviction, I don't think Taysom's a bad play. I think they both have their warts here, right? Like I know Taysom, the rushing ability he has, like really floats him. Not a great matchup for Burrow going up against Denver at Denver. But I think with Chase starting to break out of his shell a little bit, we know what Higgins can do. Tyler Boyd's still there.
I think if there was a number 2 for me, it would be Russ, just because I think this game against the Rams has some shootout potential, like where we could see this game go off. I don't think I can see that with the Bengals and the Broncos. And so, like, truly, what is the upside here for Joe Burrow? Like, I just don't know what that is with him in this matchup, in this environment. It is on the road, I believe. I believe
Yeah,
that
he's
game was
on the
in
road.
Denver, and so
I mean, Russ on the road as well, though.
true, but it's also at a dome, and it's kind of a must-win game for them. And like I said, like we've seen some shootout. I mean, look at the Cardinals game the week before. I mean, it's a lot of points were scored there. Now, obviously, James Conner soaked most of that up, but still, it's just a little bit tougher with Joe Burrow. I mean, Joe Burrow the last 2 weeks has thrown over 300 passing yards each of the last 2 weeks, and he has 1 pass touchdown, then 2. Also, in the one we only had 1, he also had a rushing touchdown. So I mean, there's some upside there. I don't hate Joe Burrow. It's just this game feels a little bit gross to me versus Taysom Hill, and so that's why I prefer Taysom.
Yeah, I'll go. I would go Taysom before I went Russ. So if we want to use that as a tiebreaker, I will join you on the Taysom train before I go over to Russ. Peyton Waters coming through with the super sticker. Appreciate that. Super chat. No, super chat. Super chat. Appreciate the super chat. Appreciate all of it. Whatever. Super chat, super sticker. Doesn't matter. Appreciate all of you. Penny or J Will now that Gordon's back.
I'm gonna go with Javante in this one.
Not a great matchup on the ground for them. Now splitting touches. Oh my god. This one's tough. I'm gonna go Javante too, but it's closer than what it should be. Because with Penny, you're not really worried about him ceding too many of the touches, but a much worse matchup. Tampa Bay has been really good against the run all year. Cincy, I think as of last week anyway, we're quietly allowing the 4th or 5th fewest yards per game on the ground. So not great there either, but a little bit better for Jay Will, even though he's splitting touches. Appreciate you, Peyton. Good to see some new names in here. As always, please hit us with that sub and that like while you are swinging through. Okay, so Thomas has the double ups on the on the fantasy playoffs. So same guy, week 1 and 2.
Oh, so they play so they play 2
Yeah.
weeks.
Yep.
So he really needs straight upside.
Yeah.
Oh, Xenon. I mean,
Yep.
Edmonds is going to play snaps. Like that's not the point. It's just I don't think he comes back and takes where he was at. I think the roles
Correct.
reserve or flip here because before he went out, I mean, he was seeing about 52% of the snaps. I mean, it was, but even before that, I mean, if you look, I mean, 56%, 63%, 63, 67, 60, 68%, 58%. He had the 1 week against Cleveland where he only played 37%, and then the game against San Francisco where he got hurt. So you take that out. So he was playing roughly 60, 65% of the snaps before he went down. That is not going to be the case anymore. I think it kind of flips, and I think where you see him probably get the 40%. Now the biggest thing with James Conner will be, is he going to continue to see that kind of pass catching work that we were seeing from him as well? Because I mean, he was doing really. I mean, some of those catches he made were pretty nice. But it still really wasn't the main reason he's done so well. Because I mean, if you look, I mean, he's really just been crushing for most of the year. But I mean, he's 5 targets, 4 targets, 6 targets, 2 targets, 9 targets. Like last week was kind of the outlier versus all these other weeks where he was kind of still in line. Obviously, he before that injury to, because really where he went down was in that San Francisco game. So before that, he was running far less routes, 7, 3, 8, 8, 7, 4, 5, and 2 for James Conner. So he wasn't being utilized. But I don't see how you could put this back in the bottle as well as he's played, unless you're just wanting to seed some work, especially with him getting a little bit banged up, especially with his history of being injured, and maybe you want to give a little bit more to James Conner. But still, this is just an incredible matchup against the Lions. You just can't sit James Conner.
Correct. LA Rick with a flex question and just the mightiest of the mighty options here. Looking at ARSB, Craig Reynolds, Julio, or Ray McLeod. Full PPR, lost Elijah and Lockett, need a replacement.
Holy shit. Rick. Okay. All right. Okay. So I think this is what we do. Okay. So this is where we get a little wild because I'm seeing the options here. One, I don't know why you have Ray McLeod anyway. We could just go ahead and drop him. We don't need Ray McLeod.
Probably because he had that 14 target game or whatever it was whenever they played the Lions. Then yeah. I think the following week he was a little involved as well. Anyway,
I digress. I think that the obvious answer is Julio. I don't. I think you think the obvious answer is Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? Because of how, I mean, he's seen 24 targets each of over the last 2 weeks. So he's been heavily involved. It's full PPR, so it does make some sense.
No Hawk, no Swift.
Yes, but I will also say that this is also the Cardinals, and the Cardinals secondary. They have been very good against the pass, so that would worry me just slightly. But with the options you have, I probably lean towards going Julio. But if you want to get wild and you want to wait and see what happens to Tyler Lockett, if there's any indication that Tyler Lockett could be back on Sunday, when we get Sunday, there's still some positivity that he could be back. I drop Ray McLeod, I pick up D. Eskridge, and I wait to roll it out. Because Tyler Lockett is a top 15 wide receiver, right? Like if he's out there, he's playing, and so I just can't sit Tyler Lockett. And I would kick myself if I don't play Tyler Lockett. Don't leave that option for myself. And then Tyler Lockett comes back, he plays, and you're just sitting there watching, hating your life as he drops a 30 burger on your head while he's sitting on your bench. I get it, but I see the players that you have here, and there's nobody that's like, oh man, if I don't play this guy could go off and kill me, right? Like Julio could be that guy. We know he has it in him. He's capable of it. This is a matchup against Pittsburgh. They're going to have to throw the ball. They're not going to be able to just, sit there and just run the rock the entire game. There's going to, especially if Pittsburgh could get this offense going a little bit earlier than not in the wait until the second half and have to come back with Big Ben, then I think there's that possibility here that Julio is far more involved than he was last week. And that's why I do like Julio. So like the safe option for me is Julio Jones. But if you want to risk it, drop Ray McLeod, pick up D. Eskridge, and we're going to roll the dice between Eskridge and Lockett. And I know there's probably people that don't know who D. Eskridge is, but it's he's their second round pick. He's started to get a little bit more involved as the weeks have gone by. He's come back. I believe he had an injury. Dwayne Eskridge did, but I mean he's got the wheels. He's got that 4.4 40 that he threw down. Somewhat similar to a Tyler Lockett in that regard. And if you look over the last couple of weeks, since week 11, since he came back, 24%, 27%, 31%, and then 46% last week against Houston. And again, if they really didn't have to do a whole lot, they really weren't stressed to really throw the ball. And if Tyler Lockett's out, I think he could see a pretty decent target share and, see 7, 8 targets, something like that, in a matchup where they're probably trailing. And so I would roll the dice. That's what I would do since I feel like there's a logical option there for me on the table. I'm going to pick up Dwayne Eskridge, or in your apps, it might be listed as D. Eskridge, but that's who I would go with. I know it's wild, but it's really, I don't want to pass up on the opportunity for Tyler Lockett.
This one for me, if you went up against like Kelsey on Thursday, or Tyreek on, you know what I mean? If you went up and you got a 30 burger already dropped on your head, I would be much more likely to take that risk.
Well, the hard part of this is we don't know their matchup, right? I don't know what the rest of their team looks like. And I also don't know what the team he's playing looks like, right?
Right.
Like, I don't know if he has to take this, but like for me, I'm always shooting for the home run ball because here's the thing. There's been so many times that I've had the best team in a league in the playoffs and got knocked out by a team with scrubs. And a team with going into the week, I'm like, I'm on to the next week, boys. This is like a bye. I'm not even on a bye. It turns out I got sent home. It happens so often. You see this team, whatever. So I don't know. I really don't know what I'm looking at, and I don't know what team he has and what situation he has to see here. But as I'm reading the players he has, I'm going to guess here that Rick does not have a team that's absolutely loaded with the options that he has on his bench. And so for me, I'm shooting for the ceiling, and I'm going if Tyler Lockett can play, go in there. If not, I still think D. Eskridge can be at least a. He's not somebody that's going to be able to put up the ceiling that Tyler Lockett has, of course, but I still think he is somebody that could get you 12 to 15. Is very possible for him.
Oh my God.
Hey,
I think the last thing that you just said makes, not that what you were saying before doesn't make sense, but the fact that but also at the same time, if these are the options we're looking at, Eskridge should still be available.
Hey, he has to be. He's like probably 0.00001% owned. A couple Seahawks fans own him. If he told me that D. Eskridge if he told me D. Eskridge was gone, I would be floored. But
I agree with the last statement you just said. So I will ride with you. Let's pick up D. Eskridge from the train station. Choo choo. Magoo. Because like you said, if those are the options you're looking at, probably need some upside.
Again, though, like I said, it would change if we know for a fact Tyler Lockett is not playing on Tuesday. Then I'm going to go with one of those other two options in Julio or which I would lean Julio. I know you said you would lean Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's what I would go one of those. But if not, if we don't get that word and it sounds like that he could play, then I'm going to take that gamble. And we've spent like 15 minutes talking about D. Eskridge.
We are 35 minutes behind on the questions. We appreciate you guys staying patient, rocking with us. We're going to try and go through these a little quicker. Taysom or Hurts? I'm going to go Hurts.
This I would go Hurts, yes. They're the same guy. Same thing.
Appreciate the question, Jim. Truth teller, If Lamar doesn't play, Hill or Tua, or even if Lamar plays, I don't know if I go there with these other two options. So who do you like between Hill and Tua? I'm going to go Tua.
I'm going to go Taysom.
Are they close for you?
Yes, I have Tua at 13, and I have Taysom at 9.
Oh, okay, so they're not all that close.
Oh,
Semi
yeah.
close, but they're not back to back.
Yeah.
Okay. I just prefer the matchup for Tua with Hill, and he can do it. He obviously can do it, but like you are basically completely riding on his legs because I really don't see him getting that much done with the weapons he has going up against the Tampa Bay secondary, who's now getting healthy at the right time of the season, like I've said before. So I would lean Tua there, and I agree. Truth, I do not have Tua as an option, but I am in a dynasty league, and I am going to be playing Hill over Lamar, even if he does play. Miami or the Cowboys D. I'm going with the Miami defense here.
Yeah, Miami.
Crip, appreciate you always jumping in with us. Uzi back in the building, probably sitting in a jacuzzi full of money right now. Connor or AJ Dillon or Gabe Davis. One for the flex and a full PPR.
James Conner.
Yeah, I like Gabe Davis as a sleeper, but you gotta roll out Connor. Browns game move. Do I chance playing Chubb, hoping he doesn't come down with COVID, or start Elliott or Freeman? Have Renfro in that game, but we'll play him.
Well, I think people have to remember too that Nick Chubb already had COVID, right? Like, I mean, a couple weeks ago, that's what he missed for was because he tested positive for COVID. So I feel, and he's also vaccinated. So yeah, there's not a whole lot of concern with Nick Chubb, and I think that's why Nick Chubb hasn't. I mean, he really hasn't been a concern for me all this week with everything that's going on with them. I guess it is possible you could re-get it. I mean, I'm again not a doctor, so I have no idea about that. But I just feel like with him just having it, I felt like a lot safer with him. So no, I wouldn't be concerned with it either.
Two other questions here for our guy Shelton: Pitts or Patty Fry? With the injuries at linebacker, I'm going Kyle Pitts.
I'm going Patty Fry.
And then at kicker, Prater or Folk?
I'm going Nick Folk.
Folk as well. RC Cola rocking with us, and it was Diggs. Kev, you were right on your recall. I had that other person. Conklin or Everett at tight end, or Njoku, or Fossa Moreau.
I'm going again. If we get up to Sunday and it doesn't sound like Austin Hooper is going to clear, I'm going to go David Njoku because they don't have Harris and Bryan either. So there's not a whole lot of options here. David Njoku, uber athletic tight end, and I honestly don't think there's that big of a loss from Baker Mayfield to Nick Mullins. I don't think there's like some huge gap between the two.
There might not be, but like I don't even want to dip my nose into that mess. I'm just gonna go Conklin and play it safe. And Joku could, like we've seen like 2 games from him this year where he just went out and smashed, and then we see a bunch of games with zeros. Like I'll go Conklin on.
But that was because
that
you have to remember though they have so many tight ends. I mean that was with Harrison Bryant, Austin Hooper. All those guys are out, right? Hey, no risk it, no biscuit. Okay, we scared money don't make money. All right, we got to go all in. All right, we can't be scared of the fantasy playoffs. We got to go all in, set ourselves up for the best shot to win this because we don't get it next week. We lose, we're done. So we can't go safe. We got to go aggressive. And David Njoku is aggressive because David Njoku has 25-point upside. because he's super athletic, can rip off an 80-yard touchdown. Like the guy should not be. The guy should be a starting tight end. Like he is electric.
He
And
should be, but we haven't seen it outside of spurts here and there.
right, but regardless,
Not regardless. Give me Conklin.
you know, you're okay. You know, you got to make the right decision for you. But I'll also say, just gonna throw this out there, that the Raiders allow the third most fantasy points to tight ends as well. They've allowed, you know, so they have been had by tight ends all year. Just making the case.
They've also been had on the ground as well. So I think this could just end up being a slow, disgusting game where we just see Nick Chubb get 25 carries.
He's still very well.
Anyway, ET, appreciate you. Good job getting that first round bye. So you just completely avoided this mess. That's how you do it. That's how you take care of it. Alexis, that was me. That was me who asked it. That was not Kev. It was me and Tom on the prop show, and like you could tell, me and Tom were both just like, he. I said, Alexis, what are your pronouns? So it is he him, because Alexis, we were calling you she all year, and then in the Discord, people were saying bro and dude, and you didn't correct anybody, so we still had no idea. So now
that's good. At least we got it cleared. At least because I don't really know what to say. I'm always like, I don't know, you know, because Alexis is it could go either way. So.
Right, could.
You know, hey, I will say this: if there is anything that we could take positive that has come from this, is that we are now get football Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, right? And then we get a break for Wednesday, and then we get Thursday, no Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday of football. Like 8 days of football over the next 10, right? So, I mean, we just get a plethora of football. So, yes, some of this is not good for fantasy purposes, just NFL purposes, we have so much football over the next really week and a half.
Eagles or Raiders?
Eagles.
Eagles for me as well. Aqua has a question. What if you wait until Tuesday to start a player and he is out?
Again, you have to have a backup option.
Yeah.
That's why I said, like, you have to have that secondary option, and it depends on what it is. So, pro tip, do not start. Leave your flex for the latest start players that you have. Do not start, players that play on Sunday at noon in your flex. Only play the guy who plays the latest in that spot. That way, it gives you the opportunity to move some things out, to move something around, something changes, something happens. Because the worst part would be if, let's say, it's a running back, and you've already taken up your flex option, right? And now all of a sudden, now you're stuck with maybe you don't have another running back option on your bench. You have to pick somebody up. Now you're left with complete scraps where you might have a better option. So always keep that flex available for those guys.
Yeah.
And so that's what you have to do. And so, like, again, it really just depends. Once we get to Sunday, we should have a little bit better idea of what maybe can happen. We should hear a little bit more. And like I've said, that's why I advocated for like D. Eskridge, because while he's not like a super sexy name, I do think that he has some upside in that offense. Second round pick just this past year, so it's not like he's some obscure name. He started out hurt, so he's getting slowly more and more acclimated into the offense.
Tutu Atwell was also a.
So was Terrace Marshall. Right?
Claypool, Connor, Mooney for Mr. Wong. We're going to go Connor here in a clean sweep, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Javonte, who's sharing snaps, or Stevenson, who's going to be the workhorse for Marcos. What do you like?
Yeah, it's Stevenson for me.
Yeah. Do you drop Freeman for Stevenson?
No.
Okay. So that answers the next question for truth.
Yes.
Alan C. Nominee defensive options: Jags, Denver, Colts, Houston, Saints. So we have the Jags versus Houston. Colts going up against the Pats. Saints, Bucks. What was the other one? Broncos.
Yeah.
I think out of that group, I'm going to go Denver just because Burrow is, I want to say he leads the league in sacks taken, and he's also tied at the top with Trevor Lawrence for the most picks thrown. So whenever you're looking at options like this that are all kind of like blah and like not great, like give me the defense that has the best shot at a turnover. Don't really want to rock with the Colts. Like they have a great run defense, but I don't think they've been producing a ton of turnovers. Like Jags, Houston, like no thank you. Saints, again, another great run defense, but they've been had through the air. So give me Denver in this one with the ability to get some sacks and some picks.
Yeah, I mean, Denver is very middle of the road in terms of adjusted sack rate. They're 16th in the league in adjusted sack rate. Actually, the Jets have a higher adjusted sack rate than they do.
Playing at home, like I said, Burrow giving up.
Yeah, I'd probably go Denver. Man, I really wanted to say Jacksonville, but
Just on the narrative.
see it all the time. Do not be surprised when Jaguars win this weekend.
Oh no, not at all. But
It is against Houston, so it's not like that's really going out on much of a limb here.
No. Hill or Hurts for Roger. I feel like we've had this. This has probably been like our most common question today. We were both going to go Hurts here. Where do you have? You said you have Taysom at 9. Where do you have Hurts? See right above in like that 7-6 range.
I have Hurts. Where is he at? Yeah, I actually have. Okay, yeah, I have an 8.
So right above.
Yep.
Juan Carlos Belmonte, Gordon Javonte, Stevenson, Parker. So which one of the Denver backs are you going to play here? Half PPR. Because that's what we have to do. I'm going to go Gordon, Stevenson, and Parker.
I can see that. I mean, he's a little bit safer, I guess, but we saw him rip off the 21 touches last week. He gets goal line work. They seem to split carries that inside the goal line. It is super frustrating there. They both scored last week, so it made them viable. But yeah, I mean, if you want to go that direction, I think you can flip a coin on Gordon and Javonte, to be honest.
For sure. Another one here from Roger. 1 flex and a half PPR. Beasley, Wilson, Reynolds, Marvin.
Sheesh. I'm gonna go Marvin Jones.
Give me Marv as well. I'm gonna go Marvin Jones there too. Tyson, don't be fucking with us. Is this the thing? Are we gonna go here and see this?
He's definitely not out.
See, look. But I will say, thank you for doing that because I came across this gem. Hunter Renfrow has never dropped a red zone target in his career. 59 red zone targets. That coming via PFF.
Renfrow has been just remarkable this year. I mean,
he's been good,
and it's just amazing to actually see Hunter Renfrow, because when you actually, if you just take a, I think we talked about it last week, but if you just take a picture of Hunter Renfrow and you just look at him, you didn't know he's a football player, you would think that guy is an accountant or something like that. Definitely not, does not have
Literally
any
anything
resemblance
except
of a football player.
a baller.
And he just out there just running routes. Just making fools
snapping ankles, making it happen. I mean, Patterson might have more playing time, but Connor's in the just a nut matchup against Detroit.
It was a great drop. You'd say nut matchup, but you have to. I mean, so yeah, he's not out. The thing with Patterson though is Patterson isn't playing a ton either. I mean, Patterson played. To look at it, the last 4 weeks, right? 27%, 53%, 47%, and 50% of the snaps. He is seeing some carries. I mean, 16 carries and 16 carries. He's not seeing a ton of targets either. Really, 2, 3, 5 targets, right? And so it really comes down to, is he going to score a touchdown or not? That's really where his production has come from. He has 27.5 against Jacksonville, where he scored 2 tutties. And then he scored 1 against Carolina, and he still only scored 13.9. He had 12.6 against Tampa Bay. And so, I like Cordell Patterson, but James Conner against Detroit could go absolutely nuclear, just like we saw last week. The only concern would be is this ankle injury, and if they get up quickly, do they pull the reins off of him and allow Chase Edmonds to do a little bit more with it? Other than that's really the only concern you have there. Other than that, James Conner is in a great spot. And I think we have Cordell Patterson as a top 12 option this week at running back, too. This isn't a don't like Cordell Patterson.
And wide receiver.
Yeah. So, we have Cordell Patterson. I have Cordell Patterson at 7.
Edmonds, Hendo, Sanders need 2 in a standard, Kev, for Jesse.
Well, unfortunately, not really gonna have the time to make the decision. I guess you do on the Sanders and Henderson thing, but I would probably just go Sanders and Edmonds.
Yeah,
because you can't wait on Edmonds, right? Now, if you're gonna have to just really pay attention to news, and if we do find out that Darrell Henderson is going to be activated by then, let's pretend that he was, it would be Henderson and Sanders for me.
Kev, I don't think you saw this. I'm going to throw this one up here, and we spent so much time on this question. I threw this up while you were going through some of those stats. Remember the question we went through with Rick, and we kept going back and forth.
Rick, you could have led with that, Rick. You buried the lead. You could have said, "Hey, I already got 42 from Travis Kelce." Okay. Not that other things can't happen. I mean, surely, like we've talked about, we saw, Stephon Diggs go out and bury souls as well. So,
Robert Higbee is out. So, you're firing up Njoku. Kirk or AJ Green. This is going to be Christian Kirk for me. We do like AJ Green, but I think Kirk is just slightly safer.
Yeah.
Komet or RSJ. This one for Saeed. Who do the Bears have?
Vikings.
Vikes.
Little rocks. Well,
give me Komet.
Give me Ricky Seals-Jones. We play tight ends in this house against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are the worst defense against tight ends. They have allowed 11 touchdowns, which is only secondary to the Chargers, who have allowed 12, which that is also including the Chiefs game last night. So I guess if you take that off, they actually lead the league in tight and touchdowns and tight ends, before this week, and they are second, actually probably first in receiving yards tight ends because again the Chargers lead the league, but that also is a little skewed because we just saw Travis Kelce drop 190 on their head. So yes, the Eagles are terrible against tight ends. So I would go Ricky Seals-Jones.
Trying to see if we had any updates with Heineke.
I don't think he plays. I mean, he just got put on it today, didn't it? Or was it yesterday?
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, they do have till Tuesday. So
right. Yeah, that's why I'm not. Just give me Komet there. Let's see where we're at. Chat is popping off, helping each other out. File that under things you love to see. And if I skipped over any of your questions, guys, please just drop them in. But make sure you go back up and see that I skipped it. We're on CB's question here. If you guys can see the timestamps in the chat, 11:39 for CB here. Cousins or wait for Stafford on Tuesday. Yeah, LA is one of definitely one of the worst with COVID.
Well, I mean, Cousins plays Monday night, right? Yeah, they play Monday night.
Everything.
I mean, I already know the answers. I thought you were gonna be like, yeah. I knew the answer already. It's so you have a little bit more time to make the decision. I'm gonna go Stafford. I think you're gonna know by then if Stafford's gonna play by Monday night. So I'd go Stafford.
Did Stafford get hit?
No.
Oh, okay. So you're saying in case he comes down.
I feel like if I was some of these NFL teams right now, I'd be like, all of you motherfuckers, go home, lock yourselves in. No one's allowed to leave their house until we see you for game day. That's all you're gonna do. Just stay home. Hey, TN, I'm always out here giving you stuff. Okay.
I'm very curious of what TN's paper looks like with the sayings that he has picked up from TFA over the ages.
The 7.
I'm very curious what that scroll looks like.
There was one last week that he said, "Oh, a bag of smashed assholes." That was the other one.
Yeah, that was the other one. Shit deep to a tall giraffe's ass. Ivan, Saquon, our Lord and Savior Michael Carter, or Gibson.
I'm gonna go Saquon.
Saquon for me as well, but it's closer than it should be. Kev, which way do you go here? No risk it, no biscuit, or you gotta risk it for the biscuit?
RC over here trying to. No, it's no risk it, no biscuit. I mean, it sounds like something.
RC, I don't like to agree with Kev all the time, like we do a lot of the times, but I will side with Kev on this one. I'm a no risk it, no biscuit kind of guy. Ashton coming through. Good to see you in here. A Springer. 2 in the flex. Pollard, Singletary, Landry if active, St. Brown, Robbie Anderson. Are we locking in St. Brown here? I'm not messing with Pollard with a fucking torn plantar fascia.
The plantar fascia doesn't really bother me at all, because it's not. There's nothing else to risk, and And I believe that from what I've seen is that essentially that the full tear is the way you want to go, which he did, because pain really starts to die down, and after that, it's really it doesn't really affect you anymore. And so, if he's playing now, it sounds like he's a true game time decision. So that's what would worry me. But man, these other options are not fantastic either. But he needs two, so you go St. Brown. And I would go Tony Pollard if he plays. Third for me, because you're not gonna have time. You don't have time to figure out if Landry's active, unless you have
Right.
unless Ashton Donovan Peoples Jones is sitting out there or
DPJ.
something.
Yeah.
Like if DPJ is sitting out there, I think you could scoop him up.
Or Njoku, or you know what I mean.
Oh, now you want to go? Oh, now you want to pick up?
Well, if with these options, if Conklin is out there,
or
pick up Conklin
or the Eskridge option, it's still viable.
Who are you saying was going to be your third?
Robbie Anderson, Mr. I think 11 targets last week.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be St. Brown and Ashton. If you can get somebody for the Browns game, like if DPJ is available, I would go that route. If he's not, I might just go Singletary and just hope that he gets some targets and some run in this game. I mean, Singletary over the last 4 weeks is around close to a 70%. I think it's 68% target share and opportunity share over the last 4 weeks for last three or 4 weeks for Buffalo. So not a great matchup. They're heavily favored in that one. That's where I would lean. St. Brown, DPJ / Landry, and then Singletary would be third. Savvy, Kyler, Kirk, Prater. Would you flex AJ Green or mix it up with Bourne? Ooh. Would you quadruple down on the cards? Muted.
I don't mind pairing Kyler with Kirk, right? Like that's fine. I think too much in because I'm you're getting negative correlation with adding Prater into this and how that's going to work. But
well, forget what about AJ Green? Forget Kirk, Prater, and Kyler. We're talking about AJ Green.
Yeah, I'll go Bourne.
Talking about the quadruple stack.
Yeah. We're just Savvy's over here just game stacking now. Are you running it back with who? You running it back with? Are you going ASB or what are we doing here with the run back option there, Savvy? Yeah, I would go Kendrick Bourne
over Green.
Yeah.
Too much Cardinals for you. Mr. Wong,
that especially in the playoffs, could work out great, but could also just come back and bite you in the ass.
Yeah. And I think the fact that you have Kyler too, let's say that AJ Green does do well, that obviously means that Kyler does well as well. So it's not, you know what I mean? I wouldn't want a quadruple dip like that, because if they have an off game for whatever reason,
or just a really random game script type of game, right? Where they get some of the other pieces. Rondell Moore scores a touchdown. All the touchdowns are scored on the ground, and James Conner and Chase Edmonds get it done. It could go so many different directions. If it's low scoring and the Cardinals don't really get hit the gas, and it's a 24-10 type game where Prater doesn't do a whole lot because it's a low scoring game, and it's just that could go so many different directions, and it's not a really positive game script for them either. I mean, the Lions have been able to push people, and don't get me wrong, the Cardinals have, I believe, the highest implied point total on this entire weekend. Yes, they do. And so that opened up at a 26 and a 3/4, and now it's all the way up to a 30. So this
Tua,
one's Tua
Jimmy
for me.
G. What'd you say?
Tua.
Tua for me as well. Cat, are you a Spider-Man guy?
I haven't watched it since Tobey Maguire, I believe. When that it was in it. I know you're. I
Yeah.
don't know. Why I'm asking. I mean the
No,
movie,
I
but
do. I do know that one. I do know Tobey Maguire was in it.
yeah.
I think
So I
that
haven't watched, but
was
I
that the
do
one
need
with
to.
Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah, and I actually have Disney Plus, and so like I should watch it. I could get caught up. I've heard the new one is excellent. The one that just came out. I know Ryan Williams and Maddie D. We were talking about in one of our chats today that that they have like blocked everybody from all socials, and they're just like staying. If they go anywhere, it's like just in our DM. That's it. They're not looking at anything else because they don't want any spoilers whatsoever. Because they both have tickets to go watch it tomorrow. But I've heard it's really good.
I really think we should start the random pod where we just talk about random shit because I feel like that would actually force me to watch things like this if we were, you know what I mean? If like, hey, next week we're gonna talk about Spider-Man. Like, I feel like that would force me to like actually watch other things.
Yeah, I think that would be. I would love to do that. Even if there was only like 4 people that listen to it, I just think it would just be fun to like mix it up a little bit and not just talk about the NFL.
Chat, let us know if we started it would just obviously be for the podcast. We wouldn't do it, and we do have a podcast, by the way. It would just be for the pod. We wouldn't put it on YouTube. But if we started a podcast where we were just talking about random topics, music, food, movies, shows.
I don't know. I mean, I think we could possibly just go live. Maybe it's like an off season thing where we just keep the live going. Be able to
Either
interact with
way,
everybody.
would you guys follow that kind of content with us if we were talking about like what I liked? Because something I've actually watched that Kev has actually watched is Ozark, and that season 4 is going to be starting soon. So like that's if we were to like just start talking about Ozark on a show or Spider-Man or whatever the case is, if there was a random non-football related pod.
I love Yellowstone. I wish you watched Yellowstone. Like Yellowstone is.
I've seen a lot of good things about it.
I love Yellowstone. It is one of my favorite shows on TV right now. It's absolutely epic, and so sad. There's only I think 3 episodes left of this season, but hopefully they get back on track and it's back on June, so we won't have that long of an off time with it. But we'll see what happens with it. But I would love to do that. I think it'd be so much fun to just talk about just like other stuff that's not that's not NFL, which I love. I mean, obviously we're still going to be we still have all the NFL draft stuff. Like once January gets going, we will start hopping in, especially February. We are really going to start diving into the NFL draft stuff, prospect talk.
I am going to be getting a head start because obviously you're going to have the DFS, but I am already I started checking out the Senior Bowl roster. I'm going to start breaking down the Senior Bowl roster so we have that too.
Yeah, so you'll start.
So I'm gonna be starting with that for you guys. But yes,
if
something
you
else
did rock with
nice.
this last off season, you will we will be putting out a ton of prospect videos and conversations about all these guys, getting you ready for that. Then we have the live NFL draft show. So we're not going anywhere in terms of football. We'll still get that, but I just think it'd be fun to talk about some stuff that's not football, and that's why I wouldn't mind doing it live because we could get other people involved in the conversation, so it's not just us. Because just get the community more involved, people involved in the conversation. Anyways, people aren't here for that right now. Yeah. Let's talk about this.
Grade this for CHB. CHB, I'm pretty sure I told you to go Penny last week. I just want you to verify so that Kev can get off my back about sitting Penny. Anyway, Foreman, Penny, Stevenson, PPR plus wideouts right now are Tyreek, KJ Osborne, Thielen, Lockett are out. So the nice thing with having... He's already had a good
start with Tyreek. He's already had a good start with him.
Yeah. And then the nice thing with having Osborne, Thielen, Lockett, you're going to get some more information by the time that comes around. So maybe you will have Lockett. We don't know. Foreman's fine. Penny's fine. Stevenson's nice. Tyreek is a nice start.
Yeah, I
gives
think.
you some cover.
Yeah, you already off to a great start with Tyreek. I think Rashad Penny could kind of go either way, depending on how the game script goes here. Will he be involved in the passing game? And then I think from there, I think Ramondre Stevenson. Like I said, it is possible if the Colts come out and play like they had been playing, and build a lead here quickly, they could game script a little bit out of Ramondre Stevenson. But the Patriots aren't a team they're going to go away from running the ball either, and so I think this is a pretty safe uh, group of running backs.
If you throw Cousins into this for Mr. Wong,
I would go Cousins.
I don't think so. I think you're, especially with knowing what we knew at that time, it didn't look good for Terry McLaurin with the within the concussion protocol. Now you're talking about potentially a third string quarterback. I would much rather start Mike Will, even knowing what we know, over Terry McLaurin. And it's not like Mike Will gave you a gooser.
No, I think he ended up with like 7.9, I think, in PPR formats. Listen, this is the thing that I always say, this thing I will continue to say, it's always process over results. The process that led you to that, I'm assuming, was great matchup against Kansas City, high scoring game, all those things that factored in. Where you with McLaurin, very hit or miss, which so is Mike Williams, low scoring game, COVID, all these other things. So the process was absolutely correct. Even if the result doesn't, who cares? Always stick with the process. It's always process over results.
Yeah. And Brand, this is a very nice start.
Just in here, just flexing. Really, I mean, just crushing it out here, living his best life. Legs kicked up on the table for the rest of the weekend. My work here is done.
Ron, no, I saw you said that, but you said the other way was the right way. So that's why I'm helping out Kev here. Aaron Wallace going against the Kelsey owner. He also has Murray. Should I play Green, Parker, or Julio in my wide receiver 2 spot? Need the upside. If you need upside, I'm going Parker.
Standard league too. I think I would go Parker.
I'm going Parker.
I don't know though. I feel like upside it has to be Julio, right? I mean, he has. I mean, I know he hasn't necessarily shown it this year, but he has. I mean, 35-point upside. Well, I guess not a standard. You're not probably going to hit that high. But even still, I think just touchdowns alone. I mean, he's probably pretty close. I don't know.
You just have never you have no.
If Jalen
idea.
Waddle ends up being out, go Parker. If Jalen Waddle plays, go Julio.
I can get behind that. Chase over Aaron Jones. That is a yes for me, dog. Did you say yeah?
Oh yeah, it's like I think you need my response. Yeah, for sure.
I started scrolling down because we were so close to catching up, and now we are behind once more.
We're not really behind. If you look at all the comments that are behind it, it's not. You're not really behind. We're doing pretty good.
Vision Clan Gaming. Gaskin, Foreman, Freeman.
I'm gonna go Devonta Freeman.
That is not what I was expecting you to say.
What did you think I was going to say?
I thought you were going to say, I'm going Gaskin.
It is really close between the two of them. I just prefer Freeman.
I can't pass up.
Hundley's interesting. Like, he actually has played pretty well the two games that he's gotten to play in. I mean, it's not like he's just been an abomination. And so he's led them back both times. And so,
I think I would start
Gaskin. Don't get me wrong; he's in a terrific spot. Jets matchup.
Yes.
We want running backs against the Jets. The only thing that concerns me is how many running backs they now are going to have back, and do they limit his touches at all? does his ceiling come down with Malcolm Brown back, with all the running backs that are back in this offense? How does that play out? Does Gaskins get all the touches like he was getting? Not to mention the fact that he's coming off, COVID and stuff like that. But we'll see. But like I said, so it is close. Freeman has kind of also taken over this backfield, but there's nobody else that's all of a sudden going to pop up that's going to take away his. And if he is trailing, that he's going to get pass catching work. I mean, he has seen a pretty healthy target share in this offense as well. 8.7% target share, but that also is factoring in early season where he had none. So that's going to lower it a lot more. But 8.7% on the season, but he still is going to have higher than that. He's 30th in targets with 36. But again, we're talking about a player who was not involved whatsoever until, later on in the season. And so I just think Devonta Freeman is a pretty safe option, a pretty solid option. You have to go back to week 6. I mean, he's scored double-digit fantasy points in every game but 2 since week 6.
I just much prefer the matchup for Gaskin.
No, don't get me wrong. Gaskin has a terrific
I think Freeman's definitely the safer option for sure. I just like Gaskin in that matchup. Speaking of, for Taji Carp, start Gaskin, assume Malcolm and DJ play, Hilliard, Craig Reynolds. Here we go. This is what the fantasy playoffs are all about. Gaskin, Hilliard, or Craig Reynolds coming out of nowhere.
This one is Myles Gaskin.
Yeah, Gaskin for me as well. Couple more here from T. Carp. If I can get the mouse to work. Julio, Allen Lazard, Gabe Davis, Osborne.
I'm going to go Julio and Osborne because it sounds like Thielen's not going to make it back.
I'm going to go Julio and Gabe Davis.
Really?
With Manny Sanders being out. Yes.
No, yeah, for sure on that.
Because even with, I know this game was at the Bills are favored by 12. They don't have a run game. It's not like they're going to be sitting here and handing off to Zach Moss 20 times this game just because they're playing from ahead. I just feel like in this matchup, like if Osborne doesn't score that touchdown, I feel like Osborne has, or Gabe Davis has just as good of a chance to score one of those kind of touchdowns that Osborne scored last week. Because if he doesn't score that touchdown, that is a very disappointing week for Osborne. And I'm going to go with Josh Allen at quarterback over Kirk Cousins.
The only tough part is that the Carolina Panthers have been really good against the pass this year. Excellent against receivers. They've allowed the third fewest fantasy points to wide receivers, third fewest receiving yards to wide receivers. Like, it makes me a little bit nervous, and especially with the I don't know how this is going to affect with Josh Allen. I don't think you're going to see Josh Allen running nearly as much as he has, but they also can't run the ball.
Right.
It's a tough spot for them to be in this game. And it feels like it could be a little bit more nasty, but where you have the Vikings in a terrific spot, the Bears are going to be missing multiple pieces on that defense as well that are out with COVID and with injuries, and their secondary is awful, and so as well, and so it's just without him. I mean, we saw him last week, even though I think he went 3, but I think he had nine targets in that game for KJ Osborne, and so I just prefer him.
Yeah, I don't hate Osborne either. I just maybe it's more of gut feel with Gabe Davis, and maybe it's because I also talked about Gabe Davis on the sleeper show. I do like him in this matchup. No Manny. Beasley hasn't been doing much. I think Diggs gets a lot of the attention, along with Knox as well. So I like Davis to find the end zone. Another one here from TK. Foster or Patty Fry?
Patty Fry.
Patty Fry for me as well.
It won't.
Yeah, Roberto, it really shouldn't.
They would, which I don't think they will, but I think they would postpone it. I think, or cancel it, because that's really what they were supposed to do. That was like what they had set up earlier in the offseason, was that they were really gonna have like a no BS policy about it. That you're gonna have to forfeit if you had a big breakout. Which, of course, push comes to shove, and NFL losing money, they were going to do that. There's really no way you can really do anything else. You can't really push it anymore, unless they were to. I mean, the most maybe to Wednesday, right? Because you can't push it back into the next week, and then you'd have to push it who they play next week into. They have to push that game back because you're not going to be able to ask the Rams to play that quickly off each other, and so there's really no chance that game gets pushed. It would either get canceled, which would be the worst. So,
yeah, for sure. No, I'm just going through some of the comments we have on the non fantasy football show, and it seems like they're with Ron would still follow us, and that's really all that matters, right? As long as Ron would still follow us.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we got the RC seal of approval, so now we can move forward with it. Without it, we were not going to be able to move forward. So that is a positive. Got that check mark on our position to be our permission to be able to do so. So I appreciate you, RC.
I definitely need to go back and watch Ozark from season 1 through 3, but that first episode of Ozark is
Isn't it
elite.
wild
That
though
was a
that
great first
the show's only
episode.
been on for 3 seasons? It feels like it's been on for like 12.
Yeah.
Because it's been out for so long, but like it takes them forever to get the next season to come out. And now this one's actually going to be broken down because it's good. They're going to release the first half, and then they're going to release the second half later.
Okay. Yeah, that was it is a very, very good show.
I do want to ask, just in the chat, let me know. Has anybody watched The Last Kingdom? Because I absolutely love that show too. It's also on Netflix. Just curious. Anyways, keep going.
Josh Gator fan 1-5. How do you decide generally between a wide receiver or running back and a flex for PPR? RBs have more guaranteed touches, but wide receivers have the higher catching upside.
Touches certainly matter, but also I think matchup matters, situation matters. If it's a running back that's like if you're deciding between Damian Harris, right, who's in a backfield with, a Ramondre Stevenson, and some of these other guys, where it's really hard to get to somebody like that. So at the end of the day, it kind of comes down to situation. It does come down to touches. You have to factor that in. Matchup also matters as well. And game environment. Is it a gross game where like this week, if you look at just the Vegas totals this week, there's a lot of really gross games. As a matter of fact, this is the rare we don't have a whole lot of games that are with a high total, and actually we don't have anything at all on the Sunday games that are over 50. And then we only actually have one game this entire week that was in the 50s, and that's the Rams. That's the Chiefs and Chargers game that's already happened. That was the only game that was in the 50. But if I had a game, for example, like the Texans and Jags, right? That only has a 39.5 point total, or the Dolphins and the Jets, the 41 point total, versus a game that has a 54 point total. I'm going to be more inclined to want to play something from that game than with the 54 point total, because there's a much higher obviously chance for points, right? Now, that doesn't mean that Vegas is always right and that this is where these are games. But you'd be surprised how often Vegas comes very close to these numbers. And so there's a lot of correlation in the Vegas, over-unders. That's why you hear people talk about them so often.
Yeah, I really don't have anything else to add. You just have to look at what kind of running back it is. Like Kev was saying, like is it a Damian Harris, or is it someone who's only catching passes and has a limited carry upside, that sort of thing, and the game environment and all that. Kev,
league settings also matter. Is it a standard league? Is it a half point? Is it a full PPR? Those obviously matter a ton. in terms of what they are. And if it's a full PPR and the running back you're playing is Damian Harris, that you have to choose who doesn't catch passes, that obviously lowers the ceiling by quite a bit.
Ollie, good luck to you this week. You're going to have to drop in and let us know either way how that goes for you in week 15. Banging Aces live and direct. Jackson or Tua this week? I don't think Jackson plays. I don't.
I think it would be incredibly stupid for them to run him out there.
And it's
They're
not
not
a
in a
great
position where
matchup
they're like
either.
not going to make the playoffs or anything like that. If they miss him, they'd be far better off sitting him for another week, getting him healthy, getting him right. Unless we're looking at unless he has a high ankle sprain, which I believe they ruled that out. And so if they did, I think just another week of rest would be smart for him. It's tough though for Jackson because Jackson, so much of his game is built on his ability as a runner, right? And so it makes it tough for him because you're asking him to sit back there then and not run and be a pocket passer. I feel like you just have to. I feel like you'd have to sit him, just get him right, get that ankle right, and get him healthy for the playoffs because they're pretty much locked in. I mean, they're not 100%. If they just lost out, I mean, there would be a shot that they could miss the playoffs, but I don't think that happens. I think you sit him this week and get him right. So I do think it would be Tua. But let's say Jackson does play, I still would probably go Tua. It's tough, but because it is Lamar Jackson, we know his upside, but trusting that ankle and everything else that with that, the Packers defense has been really good this year.
Yeah.
And I would just go Tua.
Same for me. If this was a lesser defense and Lamar played, I would potentially think about rolling out Lamar. But the Packers defense has been, like Kev said, a lot better than I think a lot of people expected. April, what's up? Ron, welcome in April. Claypool and Gabe Davis, rest of season from Gator fan, from our guy Josh here. This is Claypool. It's going to be Claypool over Gabe Davis. The only reason why I like Gabe Davis this week is because Emmanuel Sanders is going to be out. If you look at his snap share from this season, it really has not been very encouraging. Now, granted, he's still a young guy. I think it's his second year, Kev. I think he was a rookie last year, but he has had up until last week, he has 2 games with a higher than 50% snap share, and that was 51 and 52%. So he hasn't even really been that involved in the in the offense. Last week, he saw that shoot up all the way to 83%, and that definitely could play in part to the fact that they were playing from behind, going up against Tampa as well. And last week was also the first time that he has had more than 5 targets on the season as well. So that's the only reason why I'm on Gabe Davis. As much as you're seeing Steelers Twitter crush Claypool and talk about how much of a jagoff he is and all that. It's still Claypool rest of season for sure.
Yeah, not to mention, I mean, the matchups aren't fantastic for the Bills either. I mean, they get the Panthers this week, we've already talked about. Next week, they get the Patriots again, I believe. And so, it's not necessarily the best end of season schedule either. I'll tell you this, I have to think about this, the Bills, one of their number one things this offseason has to be finding a running back. This whole listen, I love that they've embraced the passing game and they're just throwing the ball over the field, but you've seen now what's happened with him not having a running game because teams are no longer. You don't have to respect that at all whatsoever. So you can just drop, and they're just playing strict, a lot of cover 2, dropping everybody back because you're not worried about anybody running the ball besides Josh Allen. Right? You're not afraid of Zach Moss or Devin Singletary or any of these running backs. They have to find a running back this offseason because it's just embarrassing how bad their lack of running game is. And especially when you play in Buffalo, it's a place that gets super cold. Not there's a ton of correlation there, but you do tend to see passing drop off as it gets colder outside and everything else. And so that has to be the number one thing they do this offseason is find a running back, whether that's through the draft or that is through free agency. Which I believe it should just be through the draft. And this one, I think it's Hunter Renfrow. I think. I don't think you cannot sit Hunter Renfrow, Emilio. Okay, you can't. The guy is just can see another 20 targets.
Yeah, we had I think it was Raylan. I think Raylan in the Discord asked a question with Renfro, Barkley. I can't remember who else was in there, but those were the two that I was between, and I also went Renfro. That's why I reacted the way that I did.
I mean, he's so ridiculous.
Especially in a full PPR. If this were half, it would knock him down slightly and make that a little bit closer. But
He's been so damn consistent, and really since
and we're starting to
Waller's
see a
went
ceiling
out.
too.
Look, I mean, 21.6 in that Dallas game where Waller went out pretty early, 19.2 against Washington, and 28.7 last week. 13 receptions on 14 targets for a touchdown and 117 total yards. Like you got to go Hunter Renfrow. Like you cannot sit Hunter Renfrow. And I love Saquon, but and he got there last week with the touchdown. You know, I think he had 18, but I can't sit Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah, can't do it. And this is a good point here brought up by RC Cola. That's why we try and look at where the lines opened, because he's right. They try and get it so that they try and get an equal amount of people to bet on both sides. So that's why we try and look at where the lines open versus where they end at the week, because you will see line movement throughout the week.
Oh, for sure. There's definitely negative and positive line movement. Like I mean, a lot of them you'll see instantly, almost within the first day of the lines that come out. Like there's some of them that really baffled me. Like I think we talked about,
like we were talking about with the Cardinals.
Yeah, that open up at 6. Like sure, that's 100% is. But at the end of the day, there's been some. I have to find it somewhere, but there's people that have looked at this, like the correlation between the over unders and production that we see, and there's a really strong correlation between the two of them. And obviously, it makes sense because if we're seeing a high total in a game, and if it's because the percentage chance of it happening is much higher, right? And so versus a game which doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that the Jags and the Houston Texans is going to have a really low total because it's a really gross game, right? But the difference is though it's season long. We don't really get as much of this opportunity because the team you have is generally the team you're stuck with outside of trading for some people, and then also the fact of that you really all the only access you have is through the is through the waiver wire, right? And that's the only access. Where in DFS, where we use it a lot more, you hear a lot more talk about it. You have the whole player pool open to you every single week, and so obviously there's a big difference there. But in terms of season long, I've always said that DFS. If I never played DFS ever, and I still just played season long, I would still listen to DFS podcast every week because it is the best information you are going to get on a weekly basis of those games, and you will find a lot of these players where people you wouldn't think about in a season-long league to play, especially when some of these, like we've seen some of these teams in here with some really risky options at wide receiver, where you may find somebody that people are on in DFS that the redraft community is not, because people in redraft tend to be much less contrarian, I guess, or risk averse, right? Versus playing somebody that's completely off the beaten path, like a D. Eskridge, for example, that nobody else is really going to talk about or want to play, but the upside's there because the volume, the opportunity is going to be there. And so that's why I say, like, whenever you get in season, like DFS pod should be a staple of what you listen to be able to understand the slate for that week. Because while yes, you are stuck with that team that you have, but still understanding the bench, the players you have, and outside of your studs of who you're going to start really helps in understanding, what to expect for that week.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've said that before too. I'm not a huge DFS person. I'll throw in some cash lineups, and Kev, I know you're not a cash guy, but that's where I feel most comfortable playing. But even though I only enter, let's say, a max of like 5 cash lineups a week, and normally my cash lineups I only have like 1 or 2, right? Like you're not throwing out a bunch of different variations with your cash lineups. If I'm listening to anything in season, it's pods that are focused on betting, because I can get a lot of the same information in terms of, where they're leaning against the spread and, over unders and things like that. And it's DFS. Like I don't listen to any like other fantasy podcasts or any other like rankings or anything like that. It's all DFS or it's betting. But a couple more questions here, then we are going to wrap this up. Amar has a question. Stevenson, Sanders, Carter, half PPR.
This is close, but I'm going to go Ramondre.
I lean. Yeah, actually, no. I change it. I'm going to go Ramondre as well. If Jordan Howard weren't back, I would lean Sanders. And also, if this game weren't moved, I would also lean Sanders. But Stevenson's going to be the only show in town. Brandon Bolden, if he plays, he's going to take 8 or so touches away. I think we'd see more touches taken away from Sanders. Fields or Taysom Hill rest of season. There was something he put in here. Wait, let me see. Oh, never mind. It's not. This was another one. Okay. Still, basically what I said, Josh, stays the same here. Gabe Davis rest of the season. As soon as Manny's healthy, I think that drops Gabe Davis back. You can probably get rid of him and pick somebody else up. Fields or Taysom rest of season, or would you have to go week by week?
I think it's really close between the two of them. I would probably lean towards Taysom. Just because we know that their commitment to him as a runner is so high, where I don't think it is as much with Justin Fields, and trusting anything Matt Nagy does is a foolhardy Aaron.
Roberto. Have Darrell Henderson, also Michelle on the bench as a flex. But also have Carter and Javonte Williams, the UNC duo, full PPR. Who do I play in the flex?
If Henderson is out, go Michelle. But you're not going to have time to make that decision.
Correct.
So, unless we get that news, like I said, prior to, like on Sunday morning, that's the only way you're going to do it. If not, oh man, I think I'm going to go Michael Carter. Just because we don't really have to worry about somebody else sniping all of his touches away. They've already said if he's healthy, he is going to get a full workload. Yeah. And so I don't think you can sit Michael Carter, and especially in a PPR format. I love Javonte. Just as much as the next guy, I think he's going to be a top 12 locked in. I think he's going to be a top 10 running back next year. It has potential to be a top 5 running back next year, as long as as long as he's the lead back there. But for this season right now, I think you got to go Michael Carter here. I think he has the highest ceiling.
Yeah. Francisco needs help picking a flex. Stevenson, Hollywood, DJ Moore, Deontay Foreman.
You know the Elf movie? Francisco. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't recall that. I've seen Elf. So
yeah, whenever he comes in the office for the first time with his dad, Buddy goes in the office, and then he's introducing to people, and he's like, "Oh, Francisco, that's a fun name." And he's sitting over the corner drinking the coffee.
Okay.
Anyways, need help picking up. I'm sure he hasn't ever heard that one. I'm going Ramondre. We're riding Ramondre Stevenson, and hopefully it doesn't blow up in our faces.
Yeah. Stevenson for me as well. Hollywood Brown looking like a true 50-50 game time decision with the illness that he has. And remember, we saw something similar happen with Lamar in recent memory as well. What is? I'm gonna try that on somebody. Kev, did you notice this little star thing here on the comment? I did not notice that until now. I don't know what the star does, but I don't want to do it on a. Does anything happen? No. Or is that just for us? Looks like we can star as many as okay. All right.
Oh, I see.
Sorry.
So yeah, you can go ahead and star them like the ones you want to answer. So like, when Walito is just saying crazy stuff in here, you don't have to see it, but you can go through really quick. I think it would be good for like if you had like a producer or something, you could go through them all and like have them all starred, so you know which ones you want to answer and which ones you want to get to, so you don't miss
Okay.
anything.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Just noticed a different feature here on the on StreamYard. Anyway, Robert Ruiz, Flex, PPR, Gaskin, Stevenson, Parker.
I'm gonna go Stevenson again, and I'm starting to think like, man, I'm all in on Stevenson here, and this could go wrong, but I'm gonna go Ramondre Stevenson.
Same for me. Again, you have to follow the touches. Who knows what that game script ends up being for Miami. Um, Same for me. Bateman or Lazard in a half PPR. Cali Loco with the Loco question.
I think I'm gonna go Alan Lazard.
I'm going to go Bateman. Especially if Marquise is out. If MVS were going to be out, the thing that worries me is I know Aaron Rodgers was taken off of the injury report. No injury report, but the fact that he came out and said that like his toe felt worse after that last game, especially if there's no Lamar, like how often are they going to have to throw it? I think we just see a healthy dose of AJ Dillon in that game. I'm going to go Bateman.
I will say with Lazard, the last two games, he has seen 13 targets over the last two games, and I know that Bateman did have a bounce back spot there, last week. But I'm not going to trust just 1 week where you have Lazard. Now again, it's a little bit chasier too with Lazard because even though in the 6 targets he saw against the Rams, he still only had 2 for 13 in that game. So, and RC 100% nailing it with that comment.
Who do I start at wide receiver here for Ronnie Santana? Pick 2, Ayuk, DK, Parker. This is going to be DK and Parker for me.
I'm gonna go Ayuk and DK.
I don't hate it. I just think with Debo being a full go, he's off the injury report as well. In that matchup where they might not have to throw as much, I'm gonna go DK and Parker there. But I don't hate Ayuk. I don't think he's a bad play. I talked about him on our wide receiver ranking show. I just prefer DK and Parker in the spots there, and especially if Waddle is out. And then running back Fournette, Stevenson, Rams backs, or Stevenson is supposed
I'm
to be
going
that
Fournette
last
and
one.
Stevenson. And just curious, I don't know if that's a question, but if you could flex one of them, who would it be? Between the rest, because we have Fournette, Stevenson. I would flex Parker, would be my flex. Over the Rams running backs.
Without knowing if Henderson is going to be activated, I like Ayuk enough to play him over the questionable situation between the Rams backs. So I think we're starting the same people. Parker, Javonte, Freeman, Carter in the flex, and this is a half PPR for Trog.
I'm going to go Michael Carter.
I'm going to go Parker. Then this one. Looks like the matchup sets up a little bit better for him. And again, especially if Waddle is out. Obviously, we love Carter. I love Carter. but just the matchup there a little bit. And even though I know that Elijah, Corey Davis, both on IR, we haven't seen Zach Wilson be as willing to just dump off to running backs as often as the other quarterbacks were. So I would just go Devontae Parker there. Michael Brown in the flex. DK, Javonte, Penny. DK, Javonte, Penny, Zeke, Dylan, PPR.
I think this is between DK and Zeke. And I guess Javonte was in the conversation. I'm going to go with.
I'm going to go Zeke.
I am too, but I do not love it whatsoever. Michael, who are you starting at wide receiver that we can't play DK?
Yeah. I think DK, obviously, the highest ceiling, especially if Lockett is out. But give me the touches and the matchup with Zeke over the rest. Penny, Javonte, Freeman. Another one here for Trog.
I'm going to go Freeman.
I am going to go Javonte. Freeman would be 2 for me, though. So, Trog, if you want to use that as your tiebreaker, that'd be the tiebreaker. New face over here on Twitch, Isaiah Sable, rest of season in the flex, half PPR, Landry, Gallup, Gaskin.
Rest of season, I would go Gaskin, Gallup, then Landry. Because it sounds like Landry could be out this week. I don't have a lot of confidence he's going to play. So that already takes him out 1 week. So, and there is no I'm not sure on bye. There is no next week for you. So, yeah, I think that's how I would view it. I think Landry's fine, but at a half point PPR, I think it lowers Landry's value of quite a bit. So,
yeah, very rarely do you see a high yardage game from Landry without the receptions to accompany it. He's not going to be a 5 for 80 kind of guy. That's going to be an 8 for 80, 9 for 80 type of thing. Parker or Amari Cooper.
I'm going to go Javonte Parker.
I'm going to go Cooper, but it's close.
It's super close. I don't mind
super
it.
Close.
It's just that game. Like, how much do the Cowboys throw the ball? I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it's really close.
Yeah, it's super close for me as well. I just lean.
I think, let me put it this way. I think if you're shooting for ceiling, I think it's Amari Cooper. Because Amari Cooper has, I mean, he has, he could go 7 for 130 and 2 scores.
Pick 3 here for Zach. Robinson, Barkley, Monty, Carter, Stevenson, full PPR.
First 3.
First 3 for me as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Keenan's already played. Keenan with that,
Eckler.
and Deontay. We're not sitting Deontay.
Yeah. So that question for Ronnie. Do I start any of them over Big Ben in a super flex?
No, I think you start Big Ben.
Well, we could probably start if that's the starting requirements. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Ronnie, what?
He's saying, what do I meant to say, do I start any of them over Big Ben and a super flex?
Yeah, but we're picking 2 at receiver, 2 at running back, right? So that's standard. That's a standard starting requirement. We weren't just picking 1 here. Ronnie, let us just wrap all this together for us. Maybe I'm the dumb one here. Maybe I'm just the one that's confused. But just so we're clear, let us know what your starting requirements are with this lineup. Just want to make sure that we give you the best answer possible. Roberto, Zach, and then waiting on Ronnie to finish things up. Full PPR in the flex: J. Rob, Stevenson, or Parker.
James Robinson.
James Robinson for me as well. Tight end: Goddard or Knox.
Dallas Goddard.
Like Goddard there as well. Zach picked up AJ Green from waivers, thinking about getting OBJ instead. Also have Lockett. Think cards will go up big and then stop throwing.
I mean, if OBJ is sitting out there, I want OBJ over AJ Green for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So then that answers that question as well.
Yeah, and I think that also allows you, if you want to make that a different decision, I would go OBJ, and then if you have that decision, you could allow it.
So out of that group of all those guys for Ronnie, you're going Big Ben over Ayuk, DK Parker, Fournette, Stevenson, Henderson, Michelle.
Wait, I'm okay. Now you have me confused.
Right?
I think what he's saying is that he has one flex over would be the rest.
Okay, so what you said with who would you flex?
Yeah.
Well, see, then that what? Okay, all right. So we're on the same page. We're all gravy.
Because eventually it would be the Rams running backs, and then Devontae Parker. Would you flex any of them over Big Ben?
Yeah, but that was our question. That wasn't his question. That's where I got confused. We just brought that up amongst ourselves.
Okay. Anyways, I mean, yeah. It's very rare that I would ever want to sit a quarterback in a super flex.
Yeah. Very rare indeed. Oh, Glock guy. Let's grab this question. Get out of here on this one. Ayuk, Javonte, Gage. We need 2.
Javonte and Ayuk.
In agreement. There you have it. We appreciate you guys. Like I said, DFS show live tomorrow at 10:30 Eastern, and then we will be live again on Sunday morning. Hopefully nothing insane happens between now and then, but the way this week has gone, who knows? You can also join the Discord if you want to scroll all the way up in the live chat. The Walito, put that link at the in the beginning of the chat. So if you want to go up there and grab that, we'll be in the Discord to answer your questions as well. Appreciate all of you. Please hit us with that sub if you have yet to do so. Good luck in week 15. Hit us up with any questions you have. Join us live over the next 2 days. We'll talk to you soon. Let's get those dubs. Let's advance. Have a great night.